Ani Ngwaagan, Chuck Peltier there's the cause, we come don jaba. Mishkos Ngwaagan, Inkitang, Gamig, don janaki. I'm Chuck Peltier, I'm the Cannabis Education Coordinator for the Recovery Center. We're going to learn a little bit about cannabis today, so if you have any questions, just shout them out to me, and I'll try to respond to them as best as I could. But here's my contact information. My email, ca.peltier@ngwaagan.ca. Then you can reach me by telephone too, 705-859-2324, extension 230. Any information that you need, I can get you that information on cannabis. I have a resource, Cannabis Education Resource Library. Yeah, tons of information that I've. Stitch, go ahead. Yeah.
I got a question. Why did the Ngwaagan Gamig create your position as a cannabis education coordinator? Why did they do that thing? What was the whole?
Where did it come from?
Yeah, like why are they having a cannabis education position at Greenville Lodge?
It was just a funding program that came available under Health Canada.
Okay.
And under that program is Department Substance Use and Addictions program.
Okay.
So Canada invested over $100 million into cannabis education awareness in Canada, across Canada, because it's nationwide, right? They invested about $62 million into Ontario, and that goes through for mental health. And Ngwaagan is one of the organizations that applied for the funding. They got the funding though. So it's a 4.5-year project that's going to be basically just running cannabis education, and just from the evaluation forms, getting feedback from community members and people, just to get their view of what cannabis is, and you know, what their opinions are on it. Basically, just to educate people on the harms and the risks, because that's kind of what the Ngwaagan focuses on, is addictions and treatment and mental health. So we'll be going over more of the risks and the harms. I don't do too much of the medical side, but that's all for individuals to do their own research too, right? And make sure they find the correct sources of information. So I'll show you some sources of information where I get my information from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to the schools after, right?
We do have a school program, Cannabis Education for Schools, and my coworker does that. She does. She'll do grade 3. Well, there's 6, 7, and 8. That's what they're focusing on right now. In this project, we'll have a cannabis education video and a live show at the end of it, at the end of March, the end of the fiscal year. So that's part of the project. But there's other things there, like character building strengths. Those are some of the things that they offer for the community members. But we do all kinds of other education information on different programs for addictions. So what is cannabis? These are some of the things we'll be learning today. Cannabis harms, cannabis safety, cannabis rules. What is cannabis? Cannabis is a type of plant. Cannabis is a psychoactive plant that affects the mind and the body. Cannabis is a plant that has mental and physical effects, such as creating a high or impaired feeling, general change in perception, and heightened mood. This is your basic cannabis leaf. This is your cannabis flower. This is a picture of an indoor garden. The cannabis plants there, they grow kind of smaller. They're probably about 4 feet. This is an outdoor grow, and that's one cannabis plant. So you're legally allowed to grow four cannabis plants per household. So if you have 20 people live in that house, you could only have 4 plants in that household, that property. So You can't. Not everybody can grow four plants. All those 20 people. Here's some samples of cannabis. These are what the legal dispensaries have produced for their sales. They'll sell them in 1 gram forms, 3.5 grams, and 7 grams. So those are the free samples that they are displaying at the stores. Some of these are the display units, how they look. You can take this little thing off there and smell how the plant is. And some of them, they have magnifying glasses there. You can look right into the plant and see all the different strains and terpenes that are in the plant. And they have all kinds of different names for the plants, different kind of strain names, but they'll have information on what the THC levels are and what the CBD levels are, and they'll say what strain of cannabis it is, if it's a sativa, an indica, or a hybrid.
Can you blow that up a little bit? No?
Zoom it in. Yeah,
No,
I can't do that right now.
You
Frank.
can't do it,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I can give you a picture of the plants though.
It's okay. Okay.
What is cannabis? Cannabis effects are within minutes when smoked. Cannabis edibles and oils about 30 to 90 minutes when eaten. For the cannabis edibles, they can last from 2 to 6 hours, but that can even go even longer to 8 to 12 hours. It all depends on your tolerance for cannabis. The effects can be in your system for 24 hours. So if you smoke cannabis one day, you'll have an increase of your cannabis THC levels the next day if you use the next day. Here's a little video on cannabis education back in the 1930s.
These high school boys and girls are having a hop at the local soda fountain. Innocently they dance. Innocent of a new and deadly menace lurking behind closed doors. Marijuana, the burning weed with its roots in hell. In this film, you will see the ease with which this vicious plant can be grown in your neighbor's yard, rolled into harmless-looking cigarettes, hidden in an innocent shoe or watch case. In this startling film, you will see dopesters lure children to destruction.
We're going over to Joe's place. Why don't you come along? We have a day to play instead of doubles. Oh, you can play anytime. Come on, we'll have some laughs. Can I go along with you? Sure. Hey, I'll see you at dinner, Sid.
If you want a good smoke, try one of these.
You will meet Bill, who once took pride in his strong will as he takes the first step toward enslavement.
Hard to say.
Smoking the soul-destroying reefer, they find a moment's pleasure, but at a terrible price. Debauchery, violence, murder, suicide. And the ultimate end of the marijuana addict. Hopeless insanity. See this important film now, before it is too late.
That's your cannabis education from the 1930s.
That seems like a little bit of shameless propaganda.
Yeah, it's reefer madness, and yeah, that's kind of what they played in back in the day. Cannabis is legal now since October 17, 2018. Cannabis Act came into force, and the reason why they created Cannabis Act was for controlling the production, distribution, sale, and possession of cannabis in Canada. So this is a tax excise stamp, and this will be on all the legal cannabis packaging. Legal cannabis stores will have this symbol here, Ontario Authorized Cannabis Dispensary. The Ontario Cannabis Store, they provide all the cannabis to all the legal dispensaries in Ontario. Well, they have their own for different provinces, but Ontario Cannabis Store is the provider for all the other dispensaries. There's a little video on the Cannabis Canada Act.
It is now legal for adults to use cannabis in Canada, but there are a few things you need to know. Cannabis became legal for adults on October 17, 2018. It's your responsibility to know what is legal in your province or territory, including the legal age and where you are able to buy and use cannabis. If you're high, don't drive or go to work. Store cannabis securely and away from kids, and don't travel internationally with cannabis. Whether you're leaving or entering Canada, it remains illegal to take cannabis across the Canadian border. Find out more and get the facts at canada.ca/cannabis. A message from the Government of Canada.
Yeah, that's just some basic cannabis education information that Health Canada wants to spread the message that way. It's like, got to be the legal age of 19 in Ontario to purchase cannabis. Don't go across the border with cannabis. You can go anywhere in Canada with your cannabis, but not across the border. Store your cannabis securely and safely away from children. Frank, you got a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't take cannabis, I don't take anything. It's my first time in a workshop like this stuff here. Cannabis, I'm just curious, why did the government legalize cannabis? Are they trying to fight the illegal market?
Yep, that's
for
pretty,
money?
That's well, I don't know if it's about money, but it is just to have safe cannabis, right? But there was other reasons why they pushed for the use of cannabis.
Great.
But we'll talk about that after.
Yeah, okay.
A few slides here. This is your basic cannabis packaging. This standard cannabis symbol will be on all legal cannabis packaging. It could come in on the jars or the bags,
Right.
or the oil containers. Basically, all the legal cannabis will have all these warning labels on them. They'll have the tax excise stamp and the standard cannabis symbol.
Those labels actually have like an ID detection on them, that when, because some people can always make those packaging and label and stuff like that, but are they kind of like the way the money is? Or the
Well, they account for everything in the dispensaries, so there will be serial numbers on the jars specifically, because they have to find out if there's a bad source of cannabis, right? Say it was moldy, or it's some other issue. They have to go back and track where that cannabis was made from the licensed dispensary, the licensed producer, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all tracked. It's all cannabis, a system they put in place there, so they know where each product is. I know they're struggling right now with kind of getting certain strains for each province, right? They'll have their own, each province has their own supplier, licensed supplier. Yeah, so those are the kind of things that they're trying to work on, like the tax excise stamp. It's kind of a big issue because they could only sell those in Ontario, right? Each province has their own tax excise stamp, and it's hard to move product from one province to the other. So I think they might have to go away with that, because it's too much of a hassle to only have that product and it sits on the shelf for a while. I don't know. Like cigarettes, it's okay to do it because you can ship your cigarettes anywhere. And alcohol, they don't do that anymore. They used to have the stamp on the alcohol, but not anymore. What is THC and CBD? CBD is cannabidiol. CBD is the non-psychoactive part of the cannabis plant. THC, tetrahydrocannabidiol, is the psychoactive part of the plant. So this is the part that gets you high.
THC gives you the high, is that what you said?
Yeah, THC gives you the high.
And what does this give you,
CBD,
the D?
CBD is the more of on the health side of the plant.
Oh, the health side, okay.
But CBD, I mean
Okay,
THC
I
is used for,
remember that. D, the drug, the C is high.
yeah. There's yeah, well, THC is used for different ailments, but we'll learn a little bit about the different
Oh, yeah,
uses.
Psychoactive.
All CBD products will have traces of THC, but they're just at low levels. Cannabidiol. Cannabidiol is a phytocannabinoid discovered in the 1940s. Unlike THC, CBD does not produce a high or intoxication. There is some evidence that CBD may block or lower some of the effects of THC on the mind. Tetrahydrocannabidiol is the main psychoactive part of the cannabis. THC is one of at least 113 cannabinoids identified in cannabis plant. So cannabis comes in three different forms of, there's sativa, indica, and hybrid. Your sativas are more of a thinner leaf plant. Then your indicas are the fatter, wider leaf plant. And a hybrid is just the genetically modified plant that contains both sativa and indica. So, got a question? The hybrid is a genetically modified plant, and sometimes on the products it'll say balanced, but balanced means the same thing as a hybrid. THC levels go from 0% all the way up to 30%. 30% would be your strongest THC level. That's in the legal dispensary. There's the gray market dispensaries, they'll have higher levels of THC. The black market, I don't think they measure those ones, but CBD levels will be mild would be 0%, and extra strong would be 30%. So you have different ratios of what THC levels are and what CBD levels are. Cannabis plants are flowers. They have terpenes. The terpenes have aromas and flavors. Some of the aromas and flavors could be pine, clove, smell earthy, like a herb or citrusy, even peppery and flowery. But these are all the terpenes here: pinene, myrcene, limonene, carfenylene, linalool, humulene. Those other two, terpinolene and bisabolol. But these are just, every plant has terpenes in them. If you ever go in the bush and you go for a walk, you smell all the different terpenes. That's what you're smelling, and those are kind of what's in vegetables and fruits too. What makes up what the plant is. THC levels in 1975, the highest level was 3%, and THC levels in 2019, they're up to 30%. So in that video earlier about the 1936, like they were kind of scared of what cannabis was, but they didn't know what cannabis was, and from today's standards, it's drastically changed from that time. Here's a little video on cannabis edibles. This one's a little bit outdated because they have already legal cannabis edibles and they're in the stores now. So this is a little video here.
Edible cannabis, cannabis extracts, and cannabis topicals will soon be legal in Canada for adults to purchase. However, it will take time before these new cannabis products become available for purchase. Here's what you need to know about these new products, including ways you can lower the risks to your health if you choose to consume cannabis. Start with a low level of THC, for example, 2.5 milligrams or less in cannabis products that you eat or drink. Compared to inhaling cannabis, it can take longer to feel the effects of cannabis that you eat or drink, up to 2 hours to begin to feel the effects, and up to 4 hours to feel the full effects. The effects of eating or drinking cannabis can last up to 12 hours, and some residual effects could last up to 24 hours. If you've consumed cannabis, do not drive. Store all cannabis products safely and keep them out of the reach of children, youth, and pets. This is particularly important for edible cannabis, which may be mistaken for regular food or drink. Find out more and get the facts at canada.ca/cannabis. A message from the Government of Canada.
So just a little bit more messaging about cannabis edibles. Keep it away from your pets and children. Store it in a safe and secure place. Basically, edibles are kind of a little bit more a relaxed kind of high. You will have the body effect, but it'll take time for it to get into your system. It could take 30 to 90 minutes, and there's certain milligrams of edibles, and for the legal ones, all the edibles will be, the max will be 10 milligrams. So on the gray market, you'll see different products that have 20 milligrams edibles and 35 milligrams. They can even go up as high as 200 milligrams. But the Health Canada wants people, if they're going to try edibles, is to go low and slow. And they'll have packages where they have 2.5 milligrams of THC in the edibles. It could be cookies, brownies, teas, gummies, chocolates. Yeah, there's a wide range of products that are coming out now, and even drinks.
Snuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Snuff? I've never seen the snuff, but yeah, it probably will.
Now, can you buy as much as you want of this stuff?
You can buy up to 30 grams worth of product.
And then they make it a stop.
Yeah, then you stop. Like you get 30 grams the next day if you want it.
Always.
Yeah, but you can only have 30 grams on your person. Yeah. Who should not use cannabis? If you're allergic to cannabis or to smoke, under the age of 25, produces a greater risk to mental health during development, particularly during adolescence. Have a personal or family history with serious mental disorders, such as schizophrenia, psychosis, bipolar, or depression. Have serious liver, kidney, heart, and lung disease, or are pregnant, planning to become pregnant, or nursing. Have a history of alcohol or drug abuse or substance dependence. This is just a picture of the human brain. The human brain is still under construction until you're 25. You can see from the picture here, your brain is developed from the back to the front, and your front is the prefrontal cortex. This is not fully developed here at 25, so Health Canada wants people to be educated and informed for the youth. Well, if you're going to consume cannabis at a younger age, you got to know about the risk of brain development. So that's why they say delay your use to 25 until your brain is fully developed. This is just a little picture of the road to addiction. Stage 1 starts out as casual use. Stage 2 becomes abuse, and stage 3 is addiction. So those are what you have to be wary of when you use and consume cannabis. Cannabis harm reduction. Cannabis has the potential to be the less deadly alternative in the face of the opiate crisis, declared in First Nations, municipalities, and cities. So that's kind of why Canada legalized cannabis nationwide, was because of the opiate crisis that was happening in Canada for the past 10 or 20 years. So that was their main push for legalization. And establishing safe and responsible production systems to increase user knowledge and product potency, decrease the likelihood of lacing with other drugs such as fentanyl, carfentanil, methamphetamines, which can lead to overdoses. So that's the risk when you purchase from the black market. Is your product could be weighed out on the same scale as your cannabis. So you got to be wary about stuff that comes out from the black market now, because there's all kinds of different drugs there.
So if you're an alcoholic and I thought you'd take cannabis instead of alcohol, it would get you off alcohol, no?
Well, you kind of substituting one
Yeah, for the other.
one for the other, you know.
I
But
did.
it's
Somebody asked me if that was I have some alcoholic friends that really need help and wondered if this would do it.
yeah, it's all in kind of trial and error right now, right? You gotta experience it to kind of understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why they made it legal as well. Maybe we'll look at if cannabis is a more safer product than all the harder drugs like the fentanyl, carfentanil. Even alcohol is a drug too, but you know.
It's like what I've read is in Vancouver on the east side. Like there's so many overdoses there daily. And this here is supposed to reduce or minimize that, right?
Right, that's the kind of what the idea is. Hopefully, it'll help people wean them off, harder drugs, you know.
That's what I was meaning.
Yeah, because it's like the lesser of two evils, right? Just to design a distribution system that produces less harm to users and non-users, so that's kind of why they.
Guess that answers my question.
Yeah, that gives an idea why they legalized it nationally in Canada. Some other things was to reduce the strain on the criminal justice system. As you can see from today, people are in court here all day, so
And we have to wait half an hour.
yeah, a lot of court time, saves on court time, jail time, fines, and just to expand scientific knowledge, particularly for medical users. So that's the part you have to do your own education on, and this is kind of what I do is educate you on the harms and the risks. But the medical side, you have to see a cannabis doctor and then go from there. Cannabis harms 2.0. Delay using cannabis until the age of 25 is recommended. Choose low THC levels and higher CBD levels. Stay away from synthetic cannabis products. Avoid regular use. Try 1 day per week or less. Use cannabis in ways that don't involve smoking. Try ingesting edibles and oils, because smoke is not meant to be in your lungs there, Stitch, so it's not good for your health.
This is live. This is live.
Yeah. Okay. If you do smoke, avoid deep inhalation and holding your breath. You don't have to take a big haul there.
Aqua lungs?
Yeah, you don't need aqua lungs. You just breathe it in and breathe it out as quick as you can, because it's just the oils are going down into your body and your system. It's not how much smoke is in there. It's the oil, the compounds from the THC. Then the last one here, not using cannabis is the best way to protect your health. Cannabis harm 3.0. People who use cannabis regularly can develop psychological dependence after regular use cannabis for a long period of time.
Are we talking about THC or the other one?
Oh well, this is just cannabis in general.
Oh, cannabis in general? Yeah.
It'll be just like.
You mean the oils and stuff too, right?
Yeah, if you're taking it every day, it'll be anything like a cigarette or a cup of coffee. You need that. You always want that cigarette or a cup of coffee. Same thing. That's what the physical dependence is, or the psychological dependence. After regularly using cannabis for a long period of time, people can develop physical dependence. So your physical dependence, some of the symptoms can be irritability, anxiety, upset stomach, loss of appetite, sweating, and disturbed sleep. That's like where you get that itch where you need it, and you'll kind of do anything to get that hit again. Basically, it is because it is a product that does you can get addicted to, just like any other substance.
I was surprised you had a couple back there where it said, take higher doses of
CBD? Yep.
Why are they saying that?
Just because the THC has different effects, right, than CBD.
Oh.
Yeah, so the CBD is more.
Oh, they're comparing one to the other kind of thing?
Yeah, it's kind of more
I
on the
see, right.
healthy side, and but
Gotcha.
THC does have
I
does help with some ailments, but it depends on what the ailment is, right? Those who use cannabis should be aware of the health risks and take measures to avoid them. Cannabis rules and safety: don't drive high, don't go to work impaired, buy from a legal source. No one follow the rules about where you can use cannabis in your community. Don't carry more than 30 grams in public unless authorized. If you're authorized, you usually have a medical marijuana license. The rules about where you can use cannabis, it basically falls under Smoke-Free Ontario, so anywhere you can smoke a cigarette, you can smoke a cannabis. Here's some messaging, text messaging about more about safety and rules of cannabis. Yeah, just a little bit more messaging. Cannabis safety procedures. If you're using cannabis, don't drive. Find an alternative. Stay overnight. Call a taxi. Share a ride. Use public transportation. Have a designated driver.
Chuck?
Yep.
Is there a way to check now with the police for people that are high?
Yep, they have drug recognition experts. Their police officers are trained to detect people are impaired from drugs. But we'll go over that in the next slide here.
Go to a RIDE program, they'll check it out.
We'll discuss the Cannabis Act rules. To buy, possess, and use cannabis and cannabis products, you must be the legal age of 19 in Ontario. You can possess up to 30 grams of legal dried cannabis or an equivalent form, edibles, vapors, and topicals. Limit for home cultivation, we talked about that earlier, is 4 plants per residence. It's illegal to take cannabis and cannabis products, including those with CBD, across the border. So don't go out of the country with your CBD, because it's still cannabis, part of the cannabis plant. Cannabis edibles, extracts, and topicals, they're available for purchase now. They just came out last week, actually, so took a little while. They were supposed to be, they were legalized in October 2019, but they're out now January 2020, so took a little.
What are those cannabis extracts?
Cannabis extract, yeah, that's it'll be like shatter. Those are different kinds of cannabis. It's kind of mainly just the THC and CBD products are. It's like a wax or a kind of like a gummy product, but I haven't seen actually any cannabis extracts yet, but I've seen the edibles, and the topicals have coming out too, but mainly just like gummies and chocolates and drinks. That's what they have out now in the legal stores anyway, but the gray market ones, they'll have all kinds of different other products. The Cannabis Act includes strict penalties for selling, providing cannabis and cannabis products to youth under the legal age. Cannabis policing. Law enforcement officers are trained to detect drug-impaired driving. They enforce drug-impaired driving laws using standard field sobriety test. This is administered at the roadside. So They have drug recognition experts, and they do an evaluation. Um, if they suspect you of being drug impaired, they can take you to the hospital and do a toxicology test on you, but with the urine or blood to see how much THC is in your blood system. Cannabis driving laws and enforcement. Driving impaired is illegal. You can face consequences like a fine, criminal charges, even jail time. Drugs affect your ability to react and increase the chance of a crash. This is the lesser charge of drug impaired. Having 2 nanograms but less than 5 nanograms of THC per milliliter of blood within 2 hours of driving. The penalty maximum is $1,000 fine. This is the more heavier charge, is having 5 nanograms or more of THC per milliliter of blood within 2 hours of driving. First offense is $1,000 fine. Max could be 10 years. Second offense is minimum 30 days, and max could be 10. Third offense is minimum 120 days imprisonment, and max could be 120 or 10 years. Then there's fines for each offense too. So gotta be aware of all the laws and how they're enforced too. So
Is that in the same area as being intoxicated walking down the street?
that basically be your same thing. Yeah, when you're impaired, it's that's kind of way they say you're high.
So even if you're walking, you know, like how
Oh, if you're walking, no.
you're drunk in public.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, you're intoxicated in public.
yeah. I don't think
Now you're drunk. Now you're impaired
you're impaired from drugs.
from drugs.
Yeah, no, I don't think they'd enforce if you're high, you're high. You know, they're not gonna put you in jail for intoxication, because you know when you're it'd be hard to prove, I guess. Like if you're
Well, you know how you're drinking in public.
yeah,
You're intoxicated. You're not allowed to have booze exposed,
right,
but you're allowed to go out and smoke a joint.
yeah,
But you're still stoned and you're still intoxicated. You're still impaired
yeah,
in a facility where you know what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like,
It'll be all up to I guess if somebody calls the police on you, it'd be all up to the officer at their discretion if they want to.
You're not driving.
Go
You're
for
just
it.
sitting there.
Just sitting there, yeah, yeah. I don't think they'll worry much about
So
that.
does the fines go up in the second and third even more than the 1,000?
Yeah, they'll it's all up to the judge, right? They'll make the decision what their fine will be, and those are they'll increase every time because you know your first offense, second offense, third offense, it'll increase. Here's a little video on the Don't Drive High campaign from Health Canada.
Your life can change in an instant. Don't drive high. A message from the Government of Canada. Your life can change in an instant. Don't drive high. A message from the Government of Canada.
Yeah, that's just some messaging from Health Canada on the Don't Drive High campaign. So this is the end of our session here. So these are the key messages that Health Canada wants to send out to people and let them be informed on how they can educate others. So keep cannabis out of the hands of youth. Keep cannabis out of the hands of the black market. Purchase your cannabis from a licensed dispensary. educate yourself on the health and safety risks with cannabis use. And this is just some links to where I got the information. Some of our partners would be Gamig, Center for Addictions and Mental Health, CCSA, Center for on Substance Abuse, and OHS, Canadian Center on Occupational Health and Safety. Drug Free Kids Canada, Cannabis Canada, they have tons of information on Cannabis Canada's website. So lots of educational resources for cannabis on this site. So I get a lot of my information from there too. And that's it.
Will they be providing these cannabis outlets, will they provide seeds so you can grow your own strain of cannabis?
Yeah, you can purchase seeds from the Ontario Cannabis Store.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll provide the seeds, they'll provide basically all the product, right? And the different strains, right? So that's where you gotta do your research. Even the Ontario Cannabis Store, they have tons of information on their website too, educational resources, and you know it's okay because it's legal now. Like you can do all the research you want on cannabis, and there's no stigma against it because you know it's legal now, just like tobacco and alcohol. So, Miigwech, and if you have any questions?
Yeah, based on the plant, the basic original plant, with all the cannabis that's evolved from that plant, wouldn't all the First Nations or Indigenous populations have be able to get a royalty from the genetic resources of that plant?
That one, I'm not sure. I don't have too much information on who has rights over a plant, but you know, if it grows in your backyard, well, you can say, well, that it's grown there naturally, but because the plants have been they've changed over time, like genetically modified. It's hard to say where the plant came from. Like, they say that there's not even one strain that specifically was indica and was sativa. So because it's been genetically modified over time, it's just hard to say where the first plant came from. So yeah.
Because my understanding that original marijuana plant came from North America, and it was used by medicine pre-European contact.
Yeah.
And with that, it's like there's on the United Nations, there was a biodiversity conference in Kyoto, Japan, and they were talking about this biodiversity, and within that, they talked about genetic resources. And that's about the DNA of plant life.
Yeah.
And within that, the indigenous populations will be able to receive benefits because there was an argument between the Crown's pharmaceuticals and the indigenous population.
Okay.
Who owns the rights to genetic resources.
Right.
So it was deemed that the indigenous populations actually are the right holders of the plant itself. And any modification or any DNA changing or synthetics that are made of it, the original plant came from that location, so those indigenous populations receive a benefit from all those pharmaceutical industry sales.
Right, yeah. That'd be awesome if we could do that, but for sure. I don't do too much research on the legal aspect of the rights for it, but it's good informational.
There was two words way back. One, it sounded like they meant the same. Like one sounded like balance, or something. You said two words.
Okay, yeah, that was way back in the
Yeah, way back. What was the two words?
hybrid and balanced.
Hybrid and balance.
Yeah, mainly the oils will say
Hybrid and balance.
hybrid and balance. So, but that's just a genetically modified plant, and it has both indica and sativa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But this is basically to get you started going and start doing your own research. And like I have tons of information at my office, and they have more health information there. But that's kind of gives you an idea where to look for information and what the risks are, right?
And the stores that are open legally now are where?
There's
closest
the closest ones are in Sudbury. There's 2 stores over there, but you can go in there. It's just like any other store. You have to be 19 to go in, but you can go check it out, find out what they have, and you can kind of get educated over there too. They'll tell you what plant is what strain is what.
Do they have a list of what it helps? Well, I'm dealing with, my wife has terrible migraines, and I'm wondering if the oil would help her. Do they have health things that it helps,
There's a good
arthritis, I know there's one lady that swears by it, she's been taking it for years.
it all depends on what ailment they have.
Okay.
That's why you got to get
Do they have information on that ailment, whether that helps?
Yeah, which would work, because it could be a combination of CBD and THC.
Oh,
but
I
there's
see.
all kinds of different CBDs and different THCs, and they're
And maybe you can mix them or whatever.
yeah, like you can mix them together, but it's hard to say what's going to work for what ailment,
Yeah.
because it's basically research and development. You have to try these products to see what's working best for you. It'd be the same thing as any other prescription. Once you got the medical prescription license for cannabis use, then it's basically research and development, trial and error, basically.
Sounds like it's all addictive, really, in the end, if you really,
Yeah.
So if you're taking it for pain or whatever, I know this one lady told me that she's been on it for, I don't know, 3 years or something now. She'd be addicted, I would think now, right?
Yeah, it depends on what their level is, right?
If she stops, she might have the pain back, I don't know.
If she stops, she might have the pain back too.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
there is medical centers. Sudbury is the closest one, and they can get you registered for medical cannabis.
Yeah, good.
Any more questions, Rick?
Okay, very good.
Very good, you did a great job.
Very good information.
Love it.
This part is for the impacts if you abuse it. What about medicinal benefits, medicinal purposes? Like, for example, why should I take it? Why should I start taking it now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Or somebody should be sick.
yeah. If they're sick,
what,
like
what are
there's
what are the medicinal benefits? I guess, what is it supposed to help you? What is it supposed to do to, I mean, I endorse this, so no problem. It's
Yep.
just that,
Well, just the lady beside us, she has really been helped with, she just started last year. She lost her husband, she
Yeah.
had terrible arthritis. She put under her tongue a little bit of oil. It just helped her so much. She couldn't believe it, Get up without pain, and it was amazing, So,
it helped her a little bit of oil.
a little bit of oil under her tongue, just a drop, that's all she
Okay.
had. Yeah. Now, she had to work at it, like you said, you have to kind of work
yeah,
at
you
it.
got to do your own kind of research.
Yeah, and she found even how much she needed to take to feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hypothetical arthritis or
Yeah.
anything. Where would it help a person? Maybe, I don't know.
Guess
I know you don't have all the answers, but
There is some
neither do I, so.
some
I just
information.
want to know what are the medicinal benefits.
Do you want to
For
get
what?
younger, Frank?
For what?
You want to get younger? Is that what
Stuff like that,
if it makes it younger?
There is the medical use, and they do prescribe it for Alzheimer's, arthritis, fibromyalgia,
Yeah.
nausea, for cancer patients.
Yeah, like is it arthritis that help you or insomnia? Can't sleep.
Insomnia,
or-
yeah, there's different strains.
Or-
Alzheimer's?
Anything.
Alzheimer's too, yeah. There's all epilepsy. There's all kinds of different uses for
Yeah.
cannabis and different ailments.
Oh, yeah.
Figuring out what strain would work best for your ailment is what you have to figure out with your cannabis doctor and
Yeah.
kind of trial and error, basically.
Very good.
Well, if there's not any more questions, I'd thank you guys for coming out, and
Thank you.
I'll have more sessions, and if you have any more questions, you can always come see me at my office, give me a call or send me an email. I have
Yeah,
tons of
okay.
information.
Now, you'll run this every week for how long?
It's every 2 weeks for the next 3 months. My
Right.
sessions will be for
I
the
can
next.
send anybody down or whatever?
Yeah, you can send anybody down. Yeah, tell them come out. Yeah, my presentations dates are there. So,
Oh, okay, good.
all right, be well.